Guys, welcome to India today.
Oh, India,
Uh,
I love India today.
you guys, I want to ask you this question. At what time into filming did you realize that this show had become such a huge hit? Like Poorna?
I mean, when it came out,
Yeah,
when we
not while we
were
were filming.
when we were filming, we had no idea what was happening. We just knew we were really enjoying our work environment, and it felt like a completely different set because it was full of people of color behind and in front of the camera. It feels like a female-led set. It had to have all these qualities that none of us had been in. And the first season was very intensely special, and then it came out and created such an impact that it's nothing that we expected. Like it could have gone any way. I'm
We couldn't
telling
have
you.
even we couldn't have even imagined the response we were going to get. It's nothing that you can imagine.
Yeah.
And even still after season one, it continued to shock us every time. And then season two came out, and once again we received that that response. And it's
Yeah.
just every time it reminds us of how important
And
this work is.
path breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mindy and Mindy
Absolutely.
Mindy and Lang have just created something that just beyond putting us on the map. It just I have no words to describe the impact of this, but we're living in a time where Asians are so mainstream, and I
Yeah.
think Never Have I Ever has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? What's interesting back home over here is like I was chatting with the rest of the cast is the fact that how it has resonated, how it has, hit home across the world. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter what part of the globe you come from, what language you speak, how you look, what you wear. It's just a show that we have sort of indulged ourselves and we've loved and tracked each and every character. Richa, do you have like a fun story? Like perhaps you were doing your own thing, like walking across the street and somebody came up to you and said, like, oh, I can relate to this show. Like, maybe I'm from South Asia, I'm an Indian.
Yes. I have hundreds, thousands of stories like that. But what I will say is, I was just in India a week ago, and I was there. Well, I was there for a couple of weeks. I was traveling all over India, and it had been the first time that I'd come to India since before the show came out, because I hadn't been to India
Oh, I
since
didn't realize that.
since before the pandemic, which was before Never Have I Ever came out. And so I had no idea what to expect. I knew that we had a fan base there because I've done press, and we have so many fans on social media, but I didn't realize how much of an impact the show had had in corners of the country that I just never expected people to have watched the show. And that was so incredibly moving and emotional for me to meet, especially to meet Indian women who who were like Kamala, and whether they had moved to America or not, but said that she was. I remember specifically one young Indian woman told me that that Kamala was the first character that she had ever felt truly represented her, in not only in American television, but in anything she'd ever seen,
Oh my goodness.
including Indian cinema or TV. So that was just something that meant so much to me.
Goodness.
Wow. And Purna, growing up, did you ever see like an Indian actor in a Hollywood film or like a TV show that perhaps left a mark on you? Like I remember Amrish Puri in Indiana Jones back in the day when I was like, oh, I know this guy. Like he's from my
Yeah.
country and now he's with Harrison Ford. So do you have a memory of any sort?
One of my best friends is this actress called Sarita Chowdhury, who was in a movie called Mississippi Masala. And I do have to say, Indian men had, like, they were visible. There was a little bit of visibility among Indian men, but there was really no visibility for South Asian women till very, very recently. But Sarita came on the screen, I don't know how many years ago, I think 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And, God, it was, I'll never forget the moment of seeing Mississippi Masala. It just
Acting with
ignited-
Denzel Washington.
Yeah, acting with Denzel Washington. It ignited our imagination and began this thing, this feeling like, oh my God, that is possible.
Possibility.
It is possible to
Yeah.
see ourselves. It is possible to tell our stories. And it's been like it's been a hard journey for everyone. So many writers of colors don't get greenlit. So many South Asian pilots don't get picked up. It's been really hard to tell our story, and I think with Netflix taking the risk on Never Have I Ever has actually opened doors for other stories of color to be greenlit. And so it's going to be a plethora of stories and many more people feeling that feeling when I saw Mississippi Masala, which is, oh my God, there I am, there I can be.
There I can be, yeah.
There can be such a beautiful phrase, isn't it? For anybody who's watching this interview, back home or otherwise in any part in the world, and they're like, oh, they could do it. Perhaps I can someday do it too. Not advice, but what's the one thing you would like to tell them?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's my favorite compliment, by the way. When someone says to me, especially actresses who say, I'm really, I'm feeling really down, I feel like quitting, but then I look at your career, and if you can do it, that means I can do it.
Yeah.
And it is such a compliment because, we didn't come from money, don't look like a model, really had no acting skills when I started at 35. There is such a, there's such a democratic feeling. I didn't feel this so much in India when we were living there. It felt inaccessible, but it just feels, I don't know.
Like you are exactly where you were supposed to be.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it also it's possible. It's
Yeah.
it's possible. Like it is. There's nothing special about my journey except it's just a particular timing and capsule. And if you are passionate and you have a dream, you just take tiny steps forward. That's all it is.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, with shows like Never Have I Ever, I think we're going to see a whole proliferation of more stories like this. And I hope more than telling the person who wants to do this, I think hopefully it speaks to parents and South Asian parents who for so long have stifled their children from pursuing artistic careers. And hopefully I've actually met parents who are now so proud to say, oh, my son or my daughter, it just graduated from school and now wants to become an actor. Whereas you would never have heard parents proudly talking about that before. And it's because of shows like Never Have I Ever. They've seen that, people like us have been able to achieve
without any like massive door being open. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is. But I have to say, I have always thought my career was right time, right place, like sheer luck. But actually, it's right time, right place, and right person right in front of you. So women like Bela Bajari at Netflix and Mindy Kaling have been at this for so long, have been opening doors and writing and, demanding to be heard and demanding to be seen. And that's why we're in this phase. We're all walking through those well-fought wars, yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing this. And listen, on behalf of fans in India, I have to thank you guys for this. I mean, this has just been absolute pleasure to watch the show. It's bittersweet, it's coming to an end.
Yes.
But this is what we live for. This is what we want to watch our favorite actors do on screen. So sending lots and lots of love
Thank
from
you
India
so
to
much.
you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Love
you.
back.
Hope to see you in India soon.
Thank you guys. Bye.